So after the hard reset overnight and a full battery charge, we have these two codes. Okay, still the same codes. Now, a while back, I remember an experienced RS4 person, very experienced, told me that when they had some codes similar to these, another point is actually a diaphragm inside of the vacuum actuator that goes bad. So I can't show you here. With the intake manifold flipped upside down, you can see those two big bellow looking things that push the arms out with vacuum. The diaphragm in there may also show with the smoke test if it's torn and leaking, and it also may not. So that person said that solved their whole flap mechanism issues, and they were deflapped and JHM spacered. So that's also one thing we have to look into, and I think you can buy those portions separately for a number of $100, I think, from Audi. So either we'll get a smoke machine or we'll test that out. But what I really want to do is get the camera on that bank one flap arm, because that will really make it clear if I should remove the intake manifold. Because see, if this arm is not moving well, I wish I had somebody here who would be down to film in catless fumes, but nobody wants to do that. So if I can somehow get the camera here and rev it, we'll see how much movement there is on this S arm. And if there's not too much movement, we'll pull the manifold. Okay, so I actually pushed this one out and in with my finger, and it loosened it up, and it's not tight anymore, but this is bank 2, so it makes no sense. So we'll have to see what's going on. I can't really rev much more, but we'll see what we can do right now. I've got the seats folded down again. That's why you hear it in this clip. Okay, we got a CEL again. I cleared the codes there after I pushed the S-shaped arm in and out. The bank 2 one is now just as loose back and forth as the one on the other side was. So that is very weird. I pushed them in and pulled them out a bit, which is risky because I'm not sure exactly how that diaphragm likes to move. But let's scan it one more time, and then that's it for tonight. Okay, now we got 4 codes. That was pretty quick. Okay, so that's there. That's there. Okay, at this point, I mean, I've pushed those arms in and out as much as I can. I think it's either time to do a smoke test or pull the manifold off and see what's going on with those bellows motors, vacuum motors, whatever it is that move the S-shaped arms for the shafts. We might even have to inspect the shafts. Let's see what on earth is going on. I might make some other choices. That's enough for now. I'm no vacuum expert on these cars, okay? But that one instance when I pulled the bank 2 arm slightly out, and then you saw on video that when I turned it on, it pulled that one back in, fully depressed. This one is always fully depressed, our bank 1 problematic one, okay? This one never moved, even, and it was never even able to pull it out, but it has the correct range of motion is pressing it in from the bottom pivot point, and same with this one. But it did pull this one in when I had brought it out a bit, which could have also been a risky move because it might have pulled the diaphragm the opposite way, okay? I'm not sure. But I looked at my intake manifold video when I'm showing this side with the manifold, and I did the vacuum, I looked at all the vacuum lines, and there's a really tricky one, okay? Okay, let me not get ahead of myself. All right, so the vacuum line in the one part that I said, the double T nipple joint, remember it was disconnected? Hopefully you guys that follow the series can remember this stuff. That vacuum line goes down, and then it's almost an invisible joint, okay? It has a little T joint in the middle on a small hose that goes to the vacuum actuator for bank 2, okay? Then, from that same little T joint that's just further down here, that vacuum line curls under and goes into the solenoid, okay? This solenoid controls both of them. Now, the odd part is that, okay, the reason, now, okay, this is a lot of stuff, guys, okay? Bear with me, I'm pretty tired and I'm trying to get this done in the time that I have. Okay, so this genuine sensor that, if you remember, I had bought for the airbox during this troubleshooting a long time ago. I got advice from a experienced member to change that. Actually, maybe that was a different code that's gone away since I plugged in the top of the vacuum line. This stuff's getting complicated, but this sensor is used more often on this car than you'd think. So I actually don't have to buy another one. We never did this on the airbox side, okay? But this same sensor, again, don't mind the terrible bracket and all the incorrect, almost all incorrect vacuum hoses. I got this from a local parts supplier. It is genuine, but this is probably for like an A4 or something else. But the sensor is the same, and all the bungs that come out of the sensor, it's the same part number, okay? It can be used. I just looked into the manifold and I match the part number. In service position, I think I can get this out and replace it. The bolt for the bracket is literally behind the connector. You couldn't take it off with the bracket to make it easier. But it seems very doable, and it's going to slide right off the bracket. But this bracket is not correct. Okay, so if you're buying this sensor ever for this car, make sure your vacuum lines, you get them genuine. All right, this is not for this car, any of these vacuum lines. Some of them I might be able to reuse, but you just need the sensor and this bracket. I'm going to have to bend it and get the sensor off, because it seems like the bracket that's in here, I can just slide this off once I disconnect it and put this back in, get my vacuum lines back in. Now, the reason I stopped here and made this clip was another thing that I did, the same double T-nipple joint thing. It made sense. I was like, okay, if I had made a mistake here, which I did, that double T-nipple joint one is related to a vacuum line that goes into this solenoid, which is down there. So if I had messed this up on a manifold removal or something because I wasn't careful, which clearly I wasn't, and I've made it clear that you need to really pay attention here, that little T joint that goes into bank 2, I barely got my finger in there and I just pushed it a little bit further. It still looked like it was sealing, okay, like it was in, but just make sure to check that, because you can imagine if there was stress here that removed this, it could have given some residual stress to that and pulled it out of it. So I pushed that in, but I don't think that's our problem. I wasn't going to videotape this stuff, but I was like, okay, this is crucial if I miss a point, because I want you to know that I did that, okay? And I'm going to pop this sensor in right now, okay? For the one that's in here. So that's what I'm going to do. So it's, if the problem gets solved after this, which is a good chance, I'm hoping, because both, you guys saw how much I revved it in the clips, okay? Neither one ever did anything, the arms, okay? So there's some kind of an issue. I don't have a smoke tester, but I visually checked every single vacuum connection. And the good part is, I don't know if you can do this when the car's not in service position, but this is just an extendable mirror with a wobble at the end. I got it in there. Your phone is the best thing with the little flashlight, but you really don't even need the flashlight. See, I don't know if you're not in service position if you can do this easily, but I was looking through here, shining my phone light in there, and I checked every vacuum line, felt around every single one. Some of them you can't even get your finger all the way in there, okay? But you have to check every vacuum line down there, mirror, no mirror, and peering in with the best of your vision from every angle, because there's a bunch of vacuum lines there. Definitely on my intake manifold video, I'm not going to go and do an annoying voiceover on that, but go watch the sections where I'm showing this side of the manifold, and it'll really clarify what's going on in here. So what I'm going to do now, it's way too late at night. I've been maxing out my ability to turn this car on and rev it. So what I'm going to do is, like I said, I pushed that in a hair, probably was completely fine. This hose, you guys know, has been on there fine for a while. But this, because both arms didn't move, and this is in the fully depressed position all the time, okay? And you guys know this is new, obviously, if you've been watching the series. And when I say this, I mean the potentiometer on bank 1. So on bank 2, the arm is also fully depressed, and at any RPMs, at least stationary, because the car's in service position, I can't go anywhere. I think I got up to like 6,000 a couple times in those clips, and nothing moved. Again, I don't know when these flaps are supposed to be in what position, but there's no movement in either one, which is the reason this might not work still, I think, is because it should be throwing a code for bank 2 as well, right? But then again, there could be some, I'm completely making this up because I cannot trace everything that occurs, because there is something that looks like a check valve under the manifold. Again, in my intake manifold video, you can see all this stuff clearly that goes into the bottom of the manifold. And that one, oh man, okay, that one I'm pretty sure relates to bank 2. Okay, confirm this for yourself by watching that video. But this is like a weird snake labyrinth of going into the solenoid, going into this one, and then they both do something together. It's a very complex array of vacuum lines and movement. Again, I haven't ruled out the diaphragms yet inside of the two actuators, okay? Smoke machine would be the best for this. I don't have it. I'm not spending $500 on one that I could use for now. I'm still gonna, like I didn't pay anything for this. This was supposed to be for something else. So I'm gonna take all the hoses off of this one, take the bracket off, unplug it, put it in. I'm gonna reset the codes. I know I've probably repeated myself, but better because this stuff is tricky. And I'm going to reset the codes. I can't turn the car on right now. I'm going to plug the new sensor in, check again with my mirror and my flashlight on my vacuum lines, and the next clip tomorrow or at some point we'll fire it up and see if anything has made a difference. So to help some of you out in service position, small 90-degree pick to remove the electronic connector there, and then to make it a bit easier, okay, because the vacuum lines are fragile, I'm going to take the bracket out because it's bumping my hand when I try to undo the vacuum hose. That bracket has some friction fit, okay, for the sensor. So what you want to do is don't try to pull the vacuum hose from underneath because you're probably going to risk cracking it. So from the same double T-nipple joint spot that I mistakenly left out, I'm going to disconnect it from here. Oh my God, wait, no. Then that T-joint is going to be hard to put. You got to pick the lesser of the two difficulties, okay? Because if you pull from the bottom, you risk cracking that line. If you pull from the top and you pull this out, then putting it back might be difficult. But then again, you know what I'm going to do actually? Yeah, I'm going to pull it out from here, and I'm going to pull the T-joint that's very invisible that goes into the actuator for bank 2, because I want to see if it's cracked or frayed at the end, inside there. I can't even see it. So I'm going to do that, and then this vacuum line, the coupler, the T-coupler, and the top piece that joins into this one is going to come out with the sensor when you friction pull it off. And the other side of it, that one is an easy pull off. Okay, if you get your hand down there, you can just pull that one off. But take this bracket off, because taking this off right now, I'm going to have to start flexing it a bit more. It's definitely doable, but just open up space for yourself here to not mess anything up. On second thought, this is really loose for me because this piece doesn't plug in anymore because it's worn out. This is still going to be loose on your car even if you have a Christmas tree plastic joiner point. So pulling this down right now, I'm starting to squeeze the vacuum line too much to take it off the double T-nipple joint. So I looked at it a bit more carefully, and if I go underneath, it's a straight pull down from underneath the solenoid here. So that is probably a safer bet. It'll be a bit more difficult to reinstall underneath. But the other thing I realized was if I pull this out, first of all, I could damage the hose up here, and the T-jointed one, I'm not sure if it has a click point plus a vacuum line, because there are vacuum lines in this car that aren't just a vacuum line onto like a, what are those wavy things on the ends of like some water hoses and stuff, okay? Barbs, okay? It's not just barbed hose into a barbed thing, and I don't know about that one, okay? It's probably not, but I'm not taking the risk because if something breaks in there, then I have to take the manifold off, which we might have to do anyways, but we're trying to avoid it. So I'm just going to reach down there, and there's a piece down there that goes like this. I'm going to grab it right from the under where it goes into the solenoid and pull down. Hopefully that works, and pull the one on the side out, and then give some force and pull the actual solenoid off of its bracket. So as you can see, I test removed one here on the new bracket, and it came out really nicely. The vacuum hose is soft and brand new. Under there, you got to wiggle it around, and you got to really give yourself some courage to pull it out, okay? They will come off. I got them both off. The main thing I'll say, though, I'm going to use this one as an example. Anywhere you see a bend, okay? See there where it 90s out from the barbed area? Say pinch the 90-degree area of the hose with your left hand, for example.
softly but firmly enough to keep it in place, and then give a lot of force to the point that goes actually onto the barb to pull it out. And that way it'll have the least stress on the hose, and it'll actually work because your hand that's on the 90 degree is going to give a stationary point, kind of like a mini vise, to allow you to even give the force to take it off. You'll figure it out, just be careful not to damage any of these small hoses. Taking the actual sensor off, see there's two, I think T25 or T30 bolts back there, but they're completely blocked by the sensor, okay? So you can't take it off with the bracket, but I tried to pull it a little bit and it's pretty friction fit in there. That right there in the center is the thing there. There are some plastic ribs in there. Don't mistake those and break them, because you might want to keep the sensor, because if this ends up, again, not being our problem, we're going to keep the sensor because that means it was functioning, and then we might use it if we have an SAI fault because it's the same sensor if that one ever goes bad. Okay? So, in the back, right there behind the circle there, in the middle on the sensor, on the body of the sensor, I'm just going to put a flathead screwdriver in there and gently pry this off of its mounting bracket. Here on the new one, again, don't mind the bracket or the vacuum hoses. They are not correct for this car. But see where those numbers are? That's where my flathead screwdriver is going. Actually, no. My flathead screwdriver, see there's a circle, there's a sensor. It's going to be going on the body portion at the back there. Yeah, okay, you'll figure it out. Just make sure you don't put it on a silly spot. Okay, actually, you see, I did throw the screwdriver. See, that's what I'm just using, a flathead screwdriver. I threw it in there, okay, at the back. The manifold, the way it's shaped, it didn't like it too much. It started bending the sensor. It started torsioning it like this, okay? So the best spot, because the bracket is vertical on the side here, and this little lip on the manifold, you can throw a screwdriver right there. I just started prying it a bit and I realized that's what I'm going to use because I don't have 60 hands. I'm tired of just... Okay, I'm not going to swear on YouTube, but I'm just going to put it right there on this edge and on the bracket, and it's going to come off for sure easily. Okay, so little update here. Just so that we don't damage the brackets, okay, the plastic, so that we can possibly reuse this sensor if we need be. The screwdriver and the method I just said, it helps to a degree again, okay? Then when you get too far, now it wants to twist the sensor downwards if you're putting too much force from the top. So get it a little bit out like I have, then come in from the most angle you can on the side, and you're not going to be prying against anything anymore, okay? So grab the screwdriver like this, okay? With your hand here, here, however. Hold the sensor with your other hand, and just walk everything with both hands and the screwdriver out the last little bit. Okay, that might work for some of you, but there's a lot of corrosion on that bracket between the sensor and that, which is maybe why mine is coming out difficultly. But the screwdriver jumped off once, and again, I don't want the screwdriver to jump into vacuum line and tear it or something, even though it's a low chance. So right now it's in a place where you can get your whole hand around the sensor, and you just gotta gently wiggle this thing and get it off. So I'll let you know what happens. So wiggling it back and forth from top, grabbing it from the bottom, the top, the bottom. I finally got it off, but see, I don't think God could take this off with the car's not on service position or manifold off. But if for some odd reason you are, as soon again, right when it popped off, because of the amount of force you have to put on it, if yours has a bracket that has some corrosion and stuff on it like mine, and that's most likely an original sensor, right when it came off, it plopped down there. Where is it? You see? There it is. I can pick it up very easily in service position. Just giving you a warning for those of you who are going to be thinking of even trying this without service position or manifold off. So it actually fell down onto the floor, but this could be a breakthrough in itself. I guarantee you the fall from where it was to the bottom of the ground did not cause this. Look at the amount of rust in that crack. This sensor was pressed up against... No, wait a second. This sensor was this way. So my advice to you is get a mirror in there. I had no idea to check for a crack and rust pointed towards the front there on that sensor, okay? I thought this was the back and heat or something caused it. But it kind of makes sense that in a car like this with a rusty environment, and it's been winter driven by a lot of people in the past, water has passed through the rad. Somehow this has cracked over time. I don't think this is a common RS4 fault, but we're seeing it right now in real time, okay? It's cracked. I don't know if it has a vacuum leak. This could not even be an issue, but the new sensor does not have this crack. So that's as close as I can zoom this in. We may investigate it more if it's a problem, but I mean, whatever's inside of it. Oh, wait a second. It's on both sides. Look at that. This actually could be... Okay, it keeps zooming out, so I'm going to say it's on both sides again. Look at that. This, if I had a smoke detector, could have billowed smoke, or it could be such a fault that water has gotten inside and damaged something. We will keep this. This is interesting. I'm just going to put the new one back in. I'm not going to keep theorizing over this, but something might be good here. And I just compared it to the new one. This whole casing, that circular casing at the top, both of... Focus, you son of a... So this that circular piece, and see the two rusty crack spots? This whole piece seems like it's separated a bit. And I don't think you guys would be able to see it in the camera, but I did see a crack that was like dark, which means it probably goes through on here, which could be causing a vacuum leak. So I just wanted to mention that up against the new one, like this piece is pressed in, everything is flush and nice. Let me bring it over here. Actually, I'm going to take everything off of it. Okay, I'm just going to use needle nose pliers to bend those things back. You guys don't even need to see this. You just need to see the sensor. Okay, I'm going to take that off, then I'll give you a quick comparison shot. I just thought of it, and it's crazy. A smoke test might not even show this, because this could be electric damage in here or vacuum leak, and there's a solenoid. Just gonna mention my ideas here so that you noobs can ponder and research like myself. So I'm still working on this to get the bracket off, and we'll keep going. Okay, I just don't have enough lighting here. I tried everything. I tried everything here, okay? But where those L-shaped joints are, there is again another rust crack along the top of one of them. Okay, finally I got it. Look there. You see that? So it's not the actual plastic that's cracked, it's whatever metal and plastic is inside there. See there? That looks like it could be leaking from there. Or again, water got in there, corrosion, and damaged the electricals. But enough theorizing in case this ends up being wrong. Let's get the new one is what I was supposed to show you. Okay, you see here's the new one. One of the digits was different on here, but every other part number matches and they're exactly the same. Nothing updated, nothing changed. So, not digits, one of the serial numbers, whatever, man. There's all the other stuff was the same. So, you see that? The circle, how nice it sits compared to the other one because it's damaged in those sides. Fingers crossed this was our problem. I'm going to throw this on, reverse of what I just did. If you've gotten this far, you have the skill to put it back together. I'm going to clear the codes. Okay, I'm not going to film anything else from tonight. And the next video, whenever I get a chance to start this car, it's a big snowfall coming, I will turn on the car and we'll see what happens. So I just thought about this one for a second more in case. This could be a engineered obsolescence point of whatever material they used in here. Possibly water vapor has rusted this from the inside out because there could be moisture vapor and whatever inside those vacuum lines, and they know that these things can fail. Focus! And they will want you to replace these. They're sensors. Pierberg wants to sell sensors. They have a deal with VW Audi. So this could be something designed to fail like this. Although I haven't read anything on the forums. It could be, honestly, it could be not engineered obsolescence, and it could be from a car that's been winter driven by people, and this is just an area that was prone to, I don't know, finding a crack and rusting, but it really seems like an odd type of failure, especially under the nozzle there. Enough of that. Important reinstall note. When I took it out, that T-joint, God save us, okay, dead center of your screen. You see where that hose that comes from the top hose here and L's down? That's the T-bracket I'm talking about. You can't see it, but it goes inside the manifold there. That had, again, come out a bit. And you do need to pull it a hair out to be able to plug that one at the bottom back in. Get your hands down there. But do make sure you push it back. Again, you could maybe pull it all the way out, but I'm not risking pulling it out and breaking it if it has a clip point and causing all mayhem, manifold off or front clip off. So that does have a hose that moves back and forth just enough for you to be able to plug those two back in. Maybe you could take it all the way out, but this is the way I'm going to play it. Okay, so again, dead center of your screen, where that T-joint thing is, okay, where that L-shaped hose that goes down right there is, put your index finger on the T-joint. Okay, let me backtrack. Okay, as you put the sensor back on the bracket, the L-shaped hose that was under there will pinch itself against the manifold. It's very fiddly in there, okay? You got to make sure to pop that down and then push the sensor in so you don't pinch it. And that one is actually quite easy, okay? You get your right hand down from there and you pull it up onto the sensor. Just make sure to get a mirror and a flashlight and check afterwards to see that it's seated properly. Once that's seated, then you come over to the T-joint because the plastic joint is strong. Pinch it, and again, still gently because there's a soft hose and that T-nipple joint that goes in there. Then push that all the way in because that was a bit out, okay, when I plugged it in. And that L-shaped hose directly underneath the sensor is not going to be parallel with the intake manifold. It goes on a slight diagonal this way, okay? Not as extreme as the camera movement, but just a little bit this way. And the one on the side, again, get your hand in there, put it in, plug it in, and I'm going to reset the codes finally now after I'm done this, and we'll start it up tomorrow. Okay, so you see that hose there in the middle of your screen that is supposed to go onto that T-joint in the middle of your screen to that nipple joint on the sensor. That hose, I pulled it in and out a bit. I pushed it in to make sure it's seated, and it moved a lot and made a little sand-like sound, like sand being in the hose. And then I pulled it out a bit, and I didn't dare pull it out too far in case it came all the way out. I can't remember if that's even visible where that hose goes, but it had a decent amount of play outwards. Don't try to pull it out. If you have the manifold off, you'll know what's going on. I didn't check the video again, but I am not going to mess around, but I have to pull it out a bit more again, as you can see, to its original position that went into the old sensor, and plug it in there. But this could also be a source of a vacuum leak, maybe under there. So the order of doing a smoke test or removing the manifold, I still haven't decided, but let's just put this in for now and hope for the best. So this doesn't end. The sensor sits like this, but I'm turning it this way. So the bottom one sits flush, okay? These two are not the same. You push that one all the way up and you're going to be like, yeah, that's bottomed out. But this one has a bulge on the sensor and no bump stop on the bottom. So you're going to push that odd hose that we just talked about that went in and out onto this, and you might keep pushing it and you can't see it because the electrical connector blocks your view. You're going to think, wait, why is the hose still bending out? It hasn't bottomed out, and you're going to keep pushing it. But you see, you got the two beads there. That's all you really need to cross, okay? So once you lightly bump up against something, that one is fully seated. Okay? These are wonders of German cars and things they do. So I hope my phone isn't lost inside the engine bay. I was using it earlier with my mirror. But all I wanted to say was that vacuum line underneath, you're best off checking it with a mirror to see that you've seated it correctly. Again, I don't know how far in there it goes. We'll just have to find out. Well, we're not going to find out now, but that's it. It's going to be plugged in. Everything's plugged in. Good to go. It's the next day now. Let's start it up, see if it's been fixed up. If it hasn't with this sensor, it's time for manifold off. If you have more tools, I would say running a smoke test would have been a test you would have done way time ago to possibly have helped you. But again, the diaphragms for the two actuators, I don't think smoke would billow through them because they're sealed at the very ends. Stuff is going to be easier to explain if the manifold's off. And those sensors, they're obviously not going to show smoke. And even the one we did yesterday, yeah, let me not get ahead of myself. Let's turn it on and see what happens. Come on, I hope that sensor did it. What is this screeching sound it's making? No EPC light. I'm kind of happy. What the fuck is that sound? See, there it goes. It's gone. That sound just completely went away. Something isn't happy in there when it's cold. The SAI's working real good too there, eh? There's that new sensor in there. Yes, no EPC light! Ah! But we do still have the traction control light on, and that came on right away. That, okay, I keep saying the hard reset thing, but that hard reset, another hard reset might actually help take that away. Come on, focus, stupid lighting, terrible lighting. Then I turned that dash cluster on, and then that throws a bunch of error codes on. Okay, does that mean error codes for the bumper being off? Focus, please, come on, make my video not shit, you stupid camera. Okay, alright. This is a good thing. This is a very good thing. I don't have to buy those stupid actuators, which I read up online on the major forum, and I think people like 6-7 years ago were paying $500 a piece, or like $400 for just a plastic rod. Or no, they were dramatizing it, I think, a bit, saying that they'd have to buy the whole actuator, but because they only broke the black part of the plastic that touches up against the S-curve linkage arm, they're paying $500 for a piece of small plastic, the 2-inch piece of plastic that goes out of the actuator. So this does not want to focus. It's trying to make my video turn out shit. Let me move it forward, but that EPC light would have come on by now. All right. Oh man, this feels pretty good. Whew. All right. Okay, so I gotta go out. There's gonna be a snowstorm soon. The CEL should come on soon for the exhaust modifications that I have, and it almost always comes on the second start, but I just started the car up, so it's not that. Oh my god, okay. Fortunately, that weird, it's kind of like a, I don't know, a goat, a duck screaming sound that comes from the front when it's really cold when I turn it on. The reason I'm not too concerned is because if you people have owned German cars, you know that when it's cold, like if you live in a cold country, or if it's a cold morning even in I remember in, where was this, Southern California, I had an S-Class, early 2000s, and that thing would turn on and make all kinds of odd sounds from underneath the engine bay, but they were never serious, and they'd go away after about 30 to 45 seconds of the car high idling a bit. Can't remember if that car would high idle or not, but it's common for these intricate pumps and whatever that's on these cars to make weird sounds, but then they quickly clear themselves up. And obviously if it persists, then you look into it, but this is not a big deal what this car is doing right now. Like, I'd comfortably drive this very far, even with that sound that you hear sometimes in the videos that it's been making, and even on revs. You see, man, I'm not gonna rev this difficult to obtain engine just for this YouTube video while it's cold so that we can see. But you guys have heard in previous clips, probably in this video, this is the next day I came to start the car, so I don't know what's gonna be in this video really on as I'm narrating this. But if you do listen to the revs, the warm revs in this series, this 3-part series for now at least, you will hear the, what do you call it? You will hear those sounds at higher revs when the car is cold too. So it does it on like turn on and idle, and then once it warms up for a little bit, it also does it at a little bit higher RPMs, and then it goes away completely. So in the summer, I can almost guarantee you this sound will not even be there. But yeah, this is a good thing. This is a very, very good thing. Now, for that traction control light, it came on right away. Okay, I mean, as smart as these cars are, even the EPC light, I don't know if I did any filming where I would start it up after a hard reset right in here, but I've definitely done it on the channel. But I'm telling you, the EPC light never illuminates on the dash right away. Okay, it always takes at least 3 to 10 seconds, I would say, for the computer to register something. But the fact that the traction control light came on right away means this is probably stored. Okay, this, because I didn't hard reset it. Remember, I only erased the codes last night, so I'm gonna hard reset it now. We'll see if the traction control light goes away, and then we'll see if the, well, I'm not gonna hard reset it first. Right now I'm going to put the, I'm gonna turn it on and off. Check engine light's gonna come on. We're gonna scan it, then we're gonna hard reset it. Okay? So I'm gonna turn off the car right now, and let's run codes. Sorry. Turn it off, turn it on, check engine light comes on. Let's see if there's any codes. I can't tell you if the limp is gone. Wait a second. This isn't even after a hard reset. I only cleared codes. The check engine light should not have gone away. Check engine light doesn't... Oh my god, you can tell I'm tired and confused right now. Let's just turn it on and off. This is the first turn off since we have started it. Okay, turn it back on. Okay, the seats are folded down, and not that the idle's rough, but it's cold out here, so the click clack you're hearing is still from those vent flaps way back in the is from those vent flaps way at the back of the trunk there, because the catless, how many times on this channel do I have to describe this in case there's new people? The flaps vibrate because the sound is so powerful throughout the cabin. Okay, Jesus, I wish those seats were folded up, but whatever. Why is there no check engine light? Come on, give me my codes for the exhaust. I highly doubt that the spacers for the exhaust have finally started doing their job because of a relation to an intake manifold fault. But I'm asking for the check engine light now, so come on. Don't act like you're a Honda. An Audi without a check engine light is just wrong. Who doesn't want to throw a check engine light? I want a check engine light because it might have some relation to that. Yo, shut up, man. They tell you, yeah, Audi. They tell you service position makes it easy to work on these cars. And then also when you want to turn it on, all your stuff is unplugged, all your lights, your fog lights and everything, and it beeps at you. Idiots should have thought of this shit too. Whatever. There should be a button in here that says all service position electricals disabled temporarily, so that when you get in here it doesn't show that your hood's open, it doesn't show any of that kind of stuff. But then again, that adds more electronics and could be even more problems, so that might not be the best idea. Plus the car doesn't complain about all of these codes once you plug everything in, with the number of times you've seen that I've done it. Okay, we got some oil temperature there finally. I'm still confused as to, because it's never done this. I mean, the check engine light. Oh, wait a second. Wait a second. Yeah, sometimes it required drive cycles way back in the day. So now that it's healthier, it probably doesn't want to throw its exhaust codes quick. Okay, let me tell you what's going on here. The reason the check engine light would come on after every second start in this series. Remember, I turn it on once after seeing a hard reset or erasing the codes, turn it off, turn it back on, and the check engine light would be immediately there. That's because the computer could register in that first start that issue with the flaps very quickly. Okay, the thing with the exhaust, now that my brain is working a little bit today, is it needs to warm up for those O2 sensors with their spacers or without, or whatever the Goomba before me did with this car with the exhaust, until the car detects, oh shit, I got bad readings, there's something wrong with this exhaust. That's why the O2 sensor codes for this car always take a number of drive cycles to solve themselves. Now, I don't care to make any more go outside and show you guys the sensor because I'm tired and I got a million things and I want to upload this video quickly. But that sensor that was rusted out and creaked and cracked, okay, we had no vacuum lines damaged, none of that was changed. So the rust and the busted up whatever code sensor that is that we've talked about, that we changed at the front of the intake manifold, the solenoid for both actuators, okay, that's what we changed. That solenoid's cracks, whether the cracks had allowed water in to damage the electricals in there, whether they had allowed vacuum to escape, whatever the case, that was the problem. But it was probably one of those, either water getting in, electrical issue, the vacuum escaping from the rusted cracks. And yeah, we're probably not going to get our codes for the O2 sensor, but here's what I'm going to do. I am right now, before I leave to go do a million things, going to turn off the car again, and I'm going to run another hard reset. We'll come back and then we will start working on the traction control light, or maybe it won't be there. Alright people, for now this is a very triumphant moment. Still not too much oil temps, but okay, very good. The reason you should stay tuned is obviously the car's in service position right now. I didn't build up enough oil temps, and plus in the garage I'm not trying to rev up to 8,000 RPM. I mean, this car doesn't really run. You want it to be properly warmed up before you do that, or else I'm not going to get into things that could go wrong. We'll talk about that later. But once the traction control light is on, again, going way back, this could be a throttle body fault which we have a new throttle body, even though it's aftermarket. I have the original Audi one from this, which we deemed was not problematic for the most part, so we might swap that back out. So we just have to now see what's going on, but that traction control light may also not even be limiting us to 7,000. No, you know what? I can't do this. Let me see if we can blow up this car right now here in the garage. How much oil temperature do we have? We got coolant temperature. We got that 61 degrees. Oh, come on. Okay, you know what? I will leave this here. The traction control light and the hard reset's gonna take a while, but as unfortunate as what I'm thinking of doing right now is, we'll let the oil temps build up a bit more. Oh yeah, there's the check engine light. Okay, good. That's probably because the exhaust is heated up. So even before I turn it off again right now, we will slowly get the oil temps up, and I'm gonna do a God forbidden 8,000 RPM rev limiter bounce, because that's got to be customary. But this is a very stupid thing that I'm about to do. I shouldn't do that here with the car not properly driven out on the road and warmed up. But let me go outside, we'll let it warm up a bit, and we'll come back when the oil temperature is up and do the 1 rev. Okay, you guys are gonna have to live without the lights being on the dash and bad possible focus, because I don't want those sounds buzzing off for the lights while we do this. Now I hope those blocks don't slide out from... I would wait for more oil temps, but people are waiting for me. I gotta go. Being rushed, but this has to be done on this car being warmed up right now. So here we go. Let's see if we yeah, I hope the blocks don't slide out of service position from underneath, but let's see if we have an 8,000 RPM rev limiter bounce here. Ready? Hey! Yeah, we're good. So okay, yeah, let me annoy people outside there and they can wait. Quickly gonna run the codes. Let's see if it's just the O2 sensor stuff, and if it is, then we'll hard reset it. I'll set the cables up, and in the next video we'll continue with the traction control light. So let's do the codes right now. Two codes, this and this. Okay, we're good. Time for a hard reset, and we'll continue with the traction control light in the next video. We've got a hard reset going on, and the maintainer's on the battery. See you in the next video.